Ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, I just finished watching The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2, Episode 7. And I gotta tell you, I have mixed feelings on this episode because on one hand, there are elements that I actually kind of enjoyed. Like, I really enjoy when a story kind of settles down a little bit and tells us things that we kind of wanted to hear in a grounded way from our characters. But on the other hand, it was an absolute snooze fest. And then something really cringy and terrible happens at the end, along with another thing that was cringy. So I'm kind of torn, and I don't know exactly how to feel about it. So I'm going to be as transparent as I can, okay? On one hand, I enjoyed parts of it. Like I already mentioned, I thought there was elements that were kind of fun to watch, but then elements that were painful and made me want to pull my hair out in. So yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those. It's not bad, but it's not really good either. And honestly, it's one of those episodes that's kind of fascinating that we'd consider this the penultimate episode of the season. This is episode 7. So we have one episode to go. And usually penultimate episodes, at least in The Walking Dead, are pretty big, if you guys have been following the franchise for long enough, but this wasn't. This was a snooze fest. So essentially what happens in this episode is, on one hand, the A-plot is Negan trying to find medication to save Ginny from the infection that she is succumbing to. Clearly, she wasn't bitten by walkers or anything like that. She had just been stabbed in the back and is slowly dying of an infection. So he needs to find medication to stop that infection from getting worse. And then the B-plot is Maggie working with the Crowat to find Hershell and where that story goes. So I guess to give a quick summary, essentially what happens with Negan is he goes into a hospital, and in the hospital he hits his head by falling down from a kid walker, which was crazy. It kind of looked like Chicken Jockey from Minecraft. But anyway, he gets knocked down from the kid walker, and when he does, it hits his head, so he starts having these hallucinations where he sees Lucille and he sees Annie, which is interesting because I'm going to be honest with you, I thought in the last episode that woman who was portraying Annie was a stand-in. I didn't realize until later, until I saw some other people commenting and things like that actually no, that was Annie's actress who was the silhouette of Annie, or the back that we saw in that episode, and it's proven in this episode because we got her cameo back in it, so it was definitely her. So we got that, and we got her, Hillary Burton, playing Lucille again. I'd say if there was one highlight for me, it's seeing Lucille again. But another highlight with the A-plot, because that is pretty much entirely all of Negan's story, another highlight with the A-plot is actually watching Negan in those quiet moments and hearing him talk to people and get vulnerable. He really felt to me like a real character in this episode. I would say that was the strongest point of it. It was what I liked the most out of this episode. Because yes, we've gotten a lot of that, and we've gotten this narrative forced down our throats that Negan is a good guy. Say what you will about that, whether you like it or you don't. I like it, personally, but we've gotten a lot of that. But we haven't gotten that many quiet, subtle moments with him, and this was one of them. And honestly, stories like this episode with Negan are ones that I would like to see more of. Not necessarily the flashbacks, but those quiet moments, those moments where you see him doing things that humans do, the moments where you see him being a survivalist. You know what I mean? Those things work really well with Negan, and to see how he interacts in those environments is great, and I genuinely enjoy it, and I want more of that. So yes, when I say I enjoyed this episode, I think that's pretty much where that lies. That's it. That was a big moment, though, to me to see those things, and it's obviously, as I mentioned, it's great to see Hillary Burton. It's great to see Annie's actress, whose name I don't know offhand, and seeing Negan tear up because of the way he couldn't really do anything to them. which I also still think is really stupid and interesting, that they wrote into existence that he would make them come to New York, or they were going to come to New York because of the Dama, I don't know which one, but then as soon as they get there, Negan just ships them off again, like in an apocalypse. I still think that's so dumb, like it could have been avoided, but instead he just mopes around and wallows in it like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, you did this. You started this. I still don't get it. I'm just as apoplectic about that as I was in the last episode, and if you didn't see my review for that, go check it out. It's on the channel, but I guess that's where the goodness of the A-plot is, and that's it. The one bad thing I had about the A-plot, which I thought made absolutely no sense ever, because we've never seen anything like this before, is the kid walkers who were like asleep with their eyes open, standing up, and Negan could just easily walk through them. And then on the other hand, after that, when Negan was chasing Lucille, he like runs right back through the walkers who are clearly hungry and like trying to eat him. But he doesn't get bit at all, but he has to like file through them like they're a fucking sea. That made no sense to me at all. Like, at all, and maybe it could be chalked up to a hallucination. You know, I didn't watch the like making of they do after this time. I didn't watch it, so maybe there was something there where that was all a hallucination. But even if that's the case, it was very weird, and I just didn't understand it, and it's not like we've ever seen anything like that before. But that was just bizarre. The only other standout moment with Negan that I thought, and I guess this goes to my point of him being grounded in, you know, survivalist stories and things like that, is when he was talking to the guy about the Bellevue Hospital and like how they go in there and all of that stuff. That conversation was one of the first conversations I've heard Negan have that sounded just real. Like as if he were to have that with me in a real conversation, or you in a real conversation. Because I feel like we like never ever get that, so that was just interesting to see. I know it's a small detail, but I think those small details make up what I've always wanted to see out of a character like Negan, especially in a spin-off, but we've just never gotten it. So yeah, that was the A-plot. Then the B-plot was Maggie and the Crowat. Somehow, I don't even know how the Maggie ends up with the Crowat. She's just like in the Damas room and he's there. I don't even know how that came to be, but it did. And then they go on a journey up to a tower where Maggie, all of a sudden, after years of following her story, gains this freezing fear of heights. And I know some people may point out that in season 1 she had a fear of heights too. Don't get me wrong, I understand that. But this episode was just so weird in its structure, because any scene that cut to her and this fear of heights was literally making me want to pull my motherfucking hair out. Like, it was so boring, cringy, and annoying. It was just so annoying. And I don't hate Maggie, but it's episodes like this that make me just not want to watch a spinoff with her in it. Because it's just stupid. I don't know why they would tell that story. It's not fun at all. And she had ample opportunities to just walk, but she's on the glass, but is freezing up and just not moving, and it's just annoying, and it's like plot for the sake of plot, but not for the sake of the story. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say. Like, it's creating drama where drama doesn't need to be, and it was just painstaking and so goddamn annoying, and I couldn't stand it. And of course, obviously, it leads to the glass breaking and the walkers fall, but magically, plot armor Maggie survives. I don't know how that happens. Shocker there. Whatever, I just thought that was really weird, to be honest with you. And yeah, eventually it's discovered that after she goes through this treacherous trek of being terrified of heights, that the Crowat was lying to her and just dragged her up there so he could see a picture of his mom. That's classic Gimple bullshit, to be completely honest with you. It was so dumb, and it was really funny when Maggie's like holding him out of the window and he's like, I don't know why, but it was so cringy. I don't know. I mean, the one thing I liked about it, I guess technically, is the conversation that the Crowat and Maggie had afterwards. I don't know if they did that to essentially redeem the Crowat, because the leaks are kind of pointing at that he dies this next episode. And I don't mean that as a spoiler. It's just seeming that way, not only from like leaks of people talking online, but also the fact that I feel like this was a classic, like, redeem him a little bit before he dies the next episode sort of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he dies. But anyway, at the very end, after they're having a heart-to-heart, Maggie sees a little light in the New York Post's building a few blocks away, and for some reason automatically realizes that that's Hershell's signal to Maggie. I guess maybe they had said it before, maybe I missed it or something like that. So whatever. That happens, so she goes to the building, and of course she meets up with Hershell, who you could tell was saying things in a really sus way, and then he just looks off and the Damas alive. Well, we could have all seen that one fucking coming. But it's just, oh man, like, I think that's the thing that I hate the most with this, is the Dama coming back, because it just further solidifies every time I say, this is a motherfucking Scooby-Doo villain. That's exactly what this is. I do not find it enjoyable. I like the Damas actress. I think she's done a phenomenal job. But why do you have to tell stories this way? We saw a burnt body. We saw her death. We saw all of it. And you know they're not going to explain it. You know they are never going to touch this. Maybe in the beginning of next episode, they'll show a little flashback where somehow she finds a way out of the thing and puts a walker there. I don't even know how she does that, because the whole building is not on fire, so only a little section was. Then she's burnt to a crisp. It just doesn't make any sense. It's stupid Scooby-Doo villain writing, and we're better than this. And honestly, half of this episode, we demonstrated that we could be better than this with things like Negan and the way he actually acts. But you don't give us that, so instead we have this scene, which I don't know. I think it's so stupid, and you know what's going to happen. We could all predict it. She's going to go on a rampage to try to get back at the Crowat, back at Negan, and all of that stuff, and she's going to end up dying. We all know it. It's going to happen. That's not even a prediction. Like, I'm not Nostradamus here. I am literally just telling you what the writers always fucking do in these stories, and I guarantee you it's going to happen. If it doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make any promises like I'm going to shave my head or something like that. But I would be very, 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 very surprised if we don't see her death and the Crowat's death the next episode. Because that's what they're setting up. I don't know. I think the only way they're going to redeem this season is if at the very end we see like Dwight come into it or something like that. I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't know what else they could do, because this season is not... I keep going back and forth, and I have no idea how I'm going to do a full-time review of this season. Like, I genuinely don't. Like, I mean, a full season review. I don't know how I'm going to do it, because I'm so torn on it. There's elements that I enjoyed. There was moments I've enjoyed watching so far, but then, like, this episode was just boring, and there were really cringy moments, but half of the moments in this season were cringy and Fear the Walking Dead writing, and it's like, haven't they learned their fucking lesson? I don't know. That's how I feel. I'm getting exhausted. Thank God we only have one more episode of this left, because this has been kind of a train wreck of a season with some good moments in there for sure. Like, there were great moments in this episode, and here and there sprinkled in, there's great moments in each. But really, all I'm left at the end of this one is despising Hershell more and wondering, what the fuck are they going to do now? And I know, obviously, Bruegel's going to come into the picture, and it's going to be like a little war between them. I know that's where it's going to go, but it's still... I'm just getting exhausted. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you like this episode? Did you hate this episode? Are you somewhere in the middle? And with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.